Oh no!
Wanna do some real naughty stuff with me?
Oh, frick! He's got his own sword! Oh no! Oh!
How's it going, everybody? HoodlaMutt here, back with some more Chaos Head Noah. And last time, Takumi was just saving all the women. Just saving all the girls, dude. He saved freaking Yua and Ayase and Momose from the freaking debris falling on them. And Nanami, I guess, was in there too. Then Takumi went to go and find Senna. Or actually, that's not what he was trying to do. He happened to overhear Orihara when Orihara and Senna were confronted by Senna's dad when she finally found him, and they were tussling, kind of. They were going back and forth. I mean, like verbally talking back and forth to each other. And Senna's like, "I'm gonna kill you," and he's like, "Yeah, you probably should. You know, I deserve it." And then he jumped in the way of a bullet for her, and got himself killed to protect his daughter. And it was kind of sad. And then Suwa, we found out, was the one that shot him, trying to shoot Senna. And he came down and he was gonna bip him, dude. But then, out of nowhere, Takumi came and saved them. And he did this cool, like, instant transmission, except it was like a different type of instant transmission move where he switched places with Suwa as Suwa was beating the crap out of him, so that Suwa was the one getting the crap beat out of him and staked to a wall, crucifix style, like the third crucifixion murder case or whatever, and he died. And then we basically told Senna that we're gonna go try and I think he said we're gonna stop Noah too, but not because not for you. I'm doing it for me or something like that. And now we're here. And so with that, let's just get back into it, shall we? A single colossal device held the attention of two men. Inohana Kozo, a member of the House of Representatives, and Kuramochi Yudai, the founder of the Cosmic Church of the Divine Light. Okay. An ominous hum continuously sounded from the device, from Noah too, beckoning a nod of satisfaction from the both of them. When you broached the topic of killing 5,000 people, I was indeed curious as to what would happen should that end be met. It was quite the back-breaking venture to keep this effort organized, especially when it was imperative for it to remain free from the prying eyes of the Committee of 300. Your cooperation is much appreciated. Norose gave a very slight bow. However, now that its completion has since been reached with our latest effort, 5,000 is now but a drop in the bucket. Its influence is practically already evident. Our domestication of man has begun. You, dude? With this, the reality we sought for so long is finally within our grasp. Inohana and Kuramochi looked to one another, exchanging sinister smirks. Norose, meanwhile, simply gazed at them, his face not even so much as twitching. Ah, yes, I must say, Norose, you have quite the taste in how you choose to spend your time. How do you mean? Inohana smiled crudely, then gestured with his head toward the tableau erected near Noah 2. Dude, is Norose gonna, like, turn on these guys and be like, "You thought that this was done for you, but it was secretly done for me, and I just needed the finances." Is that what he's gonna do? Is that what's about ready to happen? Like, aw, dang, dude. That tableau of yours. It brims with such sublime artistry. I would very much enjoy it if you prepared one for me as well. If it is raw materials you require, I shall present you with the finest selection of all those who believe in my church. Ever the charitable one, Mr. Kuramochi. It is merely bait. Bait, you say? All for the goal of bringing Noah 2 closer to perfection. Well, I suppose we can leave it at that then. The more pressing matter is our interest in understanding exactly what Noah 2 is capable of. We require a demonstration. Wait, so are these people different than the ones that were helping him prior? They were part of the Committee of 300, right? So he's saying he was trying to do this behind their back. So are these two different... These are different people, right? These are not part of the last couple of guys, right? That he kept going in front of? Nodose kept going in front of? Okay. Yes, I agree. Go on. Show us. Nodose slightly shrugged his shoulders, his impassive facial expression remaining ever present. Also, what happened to Demi? Demi's not there anymore. Uh-oh. Now then, will this interest you? By the time his words reached their conclusion, the demonstration had already begun. In the blink of an eye, Inohana and Kuramochi came to realize that they were both holding handguns.
Oh, yo, he is! He's gonna kill him!
Neither Noah 2 nor Nodose had made a single movement, and yet, this miraculous happening had become undeniable reality. Impressive. It feels just like the real thing. It is quite reminiscent of a magic trick. I would rather you not group this together with simple magic tricks. Those guns do indeed exist in reality. Their eyes fixated on the handguns within their grasps, Inohana and Kuramochi nodded in satisfaction for a second time. It's quite magnificent. Truly splendid. This is a power to surpass even God himself. I believe I'll keep this gun as a souvenir. Quite the simpletons you are. To the other two men present in the room, Nodose's faint whisper was inaudible. Oh, dude, yeah! Dude, yeah, he's gonna freaking mess him up, man. Oh, no. Oh, no. Without further delay, let's review the project's roadmap. Our first task shall be the elimination of the Committee of 300. Nodose, your hard work shall not go unrewarded. We will establish contact with you once our future endeavors are decided. The two were thoroughly pleased with themselves and the project, and moved to leave the premises with buoyant steps. And yet, that won't be necessary. What? What do you mean by that? Nodose's expression found itself changing for the first time. Oh no! Oh no! Dude, uh-oh. Uh-oh. He narrowed his eyes, slightly raised his jaw, and stared at them from where he stood. His attitude was one of intense scorn, as if he were fiercely looking down on them. No. In truth, he was looking down on them. I will be taking over the project, and not for the sake of tawdry vulgarities as you have so desired, but for loftier, far more noble goals. Nodose's tone remained civil and polite. Beginning to understand what exactly he was conveying, the two men naturally became infuriated. Imbecile! Are you trying to betray us? Are you of the belief you've become God? The Committee of 300 will not stay silent on this matter. Dude, they were just gonna kill the Committee of 300, what the frick? Gentlemen, are you not both waving the flag of rebellion against the Committee of 300? Even while being members yourselves? Nodose's eyes watched them carefully, and housed within them was raw, unending contempt. His gaze was cold as could be. It was as if he was being forced to study two monoliths of pure rotten filth. His gaze conveyed a very particular meaning, one that revealed he had only been using these two from the very start. Everything has proceeded as I had planned. I knew it, dude. Yeah, he was using them. Yo! Even you're dying here. I'll have your freaking head! Foolishness! Kuramochi and Inohana aimed their guns at Nodose. They moved to pull the triggers. It is not foolishness. The two guns fired simultaneously. Their roars echoed within the dome. But for knowledge. Oh, yo! And yet, it was not Nodose who had fallen, but Inohana and Kuramochi. For some unfathomable reason, they had taken their sights off of Nodose right before pulling the triggers and shot each other instead. Their deaths had been instant. Yo! The two compatriots then collapsed. They had put holes in each other's heads, and now they were nothing more than lumps of meat who would never draw breath again. Noah, too, is mine to handle. You simplistic hedonists did not seem to grasp that notion. Nodose's demonstration had been about more than simply showing off guns. Its purpose had been to make the two men mistake each other for Nodose and take their own lives in the process. Yo, that's so freaking sick! It's messed up, but it's sick. Dude, he used the machine to do what literally Takumi did last episode. That's freaking wild. That was the real demonstration. And with the power of Noah too, it had been beyond trivial to perform. Next, Nodose turned toward his tableau. Affixed there was the figure of Sakihara Dimi. He does have Dimi! She had begged Nodose to let Nanami go, and thus, she had then been taken hostage in her place. Oh no! Due possibly to the mental attacks by Nanami, Dimi's energy had long since faded, leaving her head pointed toward the ground as she hung affixed. Yet, when Nodose strode toward her, her shoulders ever so slightly trembled. You're such a coward. Never even getting your own hands dirty. If anyone's a hedonist, it's you. Dang! The back of Nodose's hand struck her cheek. Following this, he grabbed Dimi by the jaw and forced her to look at him. Even though nearly all life had left her expression, even as she desperately fought to keep her eyes open, her glare flared with an ardent blaze directed solely at Nodose. Why do you not wish for Nishijo Takumi to save you? Nodose whispered close to her ear. Don't drag him into this. Which him would you be referring to?
Both of them.
For my purposes, either of them would be satisfactory. The creator of IR2, or his perfect copy. The two of them wield monstrous power. Obtaining a code sample from either one of them will bring Noah 2 one step closer to perfection. And with it, I shall procure a power surpassing even God himself. Demi lowered her eyes in anguish. He fiercely tore away the hand that had been holding her jaw, and as his gaze rose up to Noah 2, a smile formed from the corners of his mouth. Come now, call out his name. Either one will do. I will welcome him with open arms. Rather, that was exactly what he had been waiting for. After surmounting all of Nodase's trials devised specifically for him, Nishijo Takumi would arrive in this very location. His trials, what? What? Wait, so how much of... Oh my gosh, how much of this was Shogun and how much of it was freaking... them. So we know that freaking, the thing with... on top of the tower, we know that because of the Darth Spider mask. We know that was Suwa and therefore Nozomi. So that was him. But what else was him attacking Takumi versus Shogun trying to wake Takumi up? Oh man, I don't know. As I made my way through the dark tunnel, I relied on the red glow of my D-sword to see. My steps naturally became quicker and quicker. I'd never walked on subway tracks at all before. As certain as I was that no trains were coming, the mere possibility had me tense enough that I couldn't keep my head from frantically whipping back and forth. It was a minute-long train ride between Shibuya Station and Shinsen Station. The distance between should have been less than a kilometer. Luckily for me, the tunnel in the Inokashira line didn't have too many cave-ins, so making it to Shibuya Station shouldn't have been the worst thing ever. But something was still weighing on me. Kozupi had warned me about something before we'd parted ways.
Lots of oopy-goopy, ploopy head consciousnesses are in there, lying in waitsies. Kozupi can't really help, but be really, really careful, Takumi-san.
Oopy goopy, ploopy head consciousnesses. Right. At the very least, I imagined I wasn't gonna like those. I was starting to have second thoughts. Fear crept up on me, and I started to feel incredibly alone. Making my way through a pitch-black tunnel all by myself, a tunnel in which something horrifying was apparently waiting for me. How could I not lose my nerve? Whispers in the back of my mind urged me to leave the tunnel this instant, to find a way to Shibuya Station on the surface. But I didn't have that kind of time to lose. So, in order to destroy any remaining fear I had, I thought of Demi's smiling face. I thrusted my D-sword forward to illuminate the tunnel ahead of me. Problem was, its red glow only made my feelings of anxiety and foreboding even worse. Suddenly, something fell off. I felt like I'd caught a glimpse of something strange. Strange enough to make my gaze dart all around to try and find it. 10 meters ahead of me on the track, a small shadow was jutting out. One that hadn't been there a second ago. I squinted. Actually, it wasn't a shadow at all. Standing about 20 centimeters tall, it was a Sedaton figure.
Dude, Sedaton! Yo, Sedaton has been their delusion, hasn't it? Sedaton has been Nozomi's delusion, dude. Oh my gosh. Dude, I said she was nefarious from the beginning, but all this time Takumi kept saying, I was making her say that. I'm the one that was making her say all that weird messed up stuff, but it was actually Nozomi. I knew it was like a psyop, dude. I freaking knew it, dude. Oh my gosh.
What the? Why would that be in a place like this? I was hit with a sense of whiplash. It was way too out of place. I was in a dim underground tunnel, one for train tracks that took people between stations. The general public didn't tend to go into the tunnels themselves, especially this deep. I was right in the center of them. And yet, the figure was there anyway. And it was the post-awakening version too, my absolute favorite. Though her chest was pretty busted up. Wait a second. Was that my figure? The one I dropped during the chaos at Scramble Crossing yesterday? If it was, then how the heck had she ended up here? She was standing perfectly upright, too, with that bewitching smile of hers aimed straight at me. Seda? How did you...
So that's how you see me, Taki.
I heard a voice. The voice I always deluded was talking inside my head. Seda's voice.
Well, it's no real biggie to me.
It happened in less than a second. Faster than I could even blink. Sedaton, who should have just been a small figure, had instantly transformed into a life-sized model.
Yo.
Then, her smooth, silky, sexy body began to bend and twist just like a real person's. Her hair rustled around, and her huge jugs jiggled. Was this a delusion?
Come on, Taki. Let's play.
I heard another voice behind me. Whipping my head around in shock, I saw another life-sized Sedaton standing there.
You're gonna keep your patootie well away from Dimichi.
But it didn't end there. To my left, and to my right,
Oh no, they're sending an army of Sedatons at him.
the amount of Sedatons was slowly multiplying. They cascaded out from the darkness. Just the sight alone sent a slight chill down my spine. The number of Sedatons had to have been at least in the triple digits now.
Oh no!
Wanna do some real naughty stuff with me?
100 Sedatons crowded around me and spoke in unison.
I know you wanna, you big dum-dum.
Oh!
Laughing gleefully, one of the Sedatons in front of me charged at me. Then, her slender arms swung her colossal metal bat.
Ugh!
The impact was definitely real. My D-sword managed to take the brunt of the blow. Dang! It had been way too heavy of a strike. My hand started spasming before going numb. It all hurt like heck. That was when I realized it was all really happening. It wasn't just some delusion. It was reality. They were real booted beings. And every single one of them was out for blood.
If you won't play with me, then I'll blow you sky high.
If you're really my waifu,
Get out of the way!
Nopers!
Fine. I'd have to brute force my way through. I retightened my grip on my D-sword. The fiery emblem on my D-sword's hilt began to burn. Even more red light began to emanate from the blade.
Ah!
I slashed the sword, tearing right through my waifu. The blade was weightless, smooth in how it handled. It drew whatever trajectory I wished it to. The blade bit into her shoulder before running through her body in its entirety. There had not been a shred of resistance when it came to rending her flesh and bones. It had hardly taken any strength from me at all. Seira's glamorous body split in half at an angle. As her entrails piled out, she collapsed on the spot. Even her organs had been perfectly reproduced. They glittered and shone with a pink gleam. I averted my eyes. I'm sorry, Seira. I was gutting my favorite character with my own two hands. As an otaku, this was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do.
Okay.
But still, I couldn't give up here.
Wowie! So big and strong! That's my Taki! I love you so much when you get like this, Taki. You feel so good, but I want more! Play with me, Taki!
They're probably just trying to distract him. No, because Nodase wants him to get there, so I wonder what he's trying to do. He must be trying to, like, wean his power level down or whatever, like how he did with Demi, right? Because she got to where she was too weak. That's probably what he's trying to do with Takumi.
I'm gonna mess you up so good! This is so much fun!
Suddenly, each and every one of the Seiras started speaking independently of one another. The flood of voices threatened to swallow me whole. I have to quit thinking of them as Seira. That was what I had to tell myself. And so, in order to keep moving forward, I swung my sword at the Seiras blocking my path.
Out of the way!
Rending the darkness. With a single horizontal strike, a red beam blazed across the tunnel. The four Seiratans standing next to each other instantly turned into corpses. Dang.
Taki!
Another one grabbed me from behind. She wrapped her arms around my neck in a chokehold. Her large, supple boobs pressed against my back. I can't believe you're thinking of that at this moment. You're literally cutting them open and their entrails are coming out. And that's what your mind goes to, bro. For serious. He said he's not a hero, so can't blame him. At least he's honest.
Get off me!
Another Seira tried to mount my leg, and I quickly punctured her in the face with my D-sword. A cleanly cut molten hole formed where her smile had used to be. It was hard to breathe. My neck was being constricted. I was on the verge of suffocating.
Huh?
No more fooling around with other girls!
Another metal bat was coming right at me. I managed to writhe around enough to change positions, and now my back was facing it.
Ooh!
Ah!
I felt Seira's body shudder, and her grip on my neck weakened.
You're gonna forget all about Dimichi!
I shook her off my back. Then I whipped around and swiped with my D-sword. Three pairs of Seiratan's legs came at me. My next strike would sever them at the thighs. The three of them plunged into the ground in perfect harmony. I stepped on top of their backs.
Ooh, I love me a big, strong man.
Seda started winding up her metal bat, and I swung my sword down on her. Her metal bat met with my D-sword, only for me to carve straight through it, and straight through the top of her head. No, my D-sword wasn't carving things. More than that, it would have been more accurate to say it evaporated anything that crossed with its trajectory. No matter how soft the object, no matter how solid the object, no matter how cold the object, no matter how hot the object, my blade instantaneously boiled and burned away anything it came into contact with, severing it from its source.
Taki!
These anime characters, who all had the same face, who were all calling my name in unison, who continued to attack me just for the sake of it. It made my hair stand on end. Ah! I tried to rile myself up. I let out a huge scream. Then, aiming for the Seda right in front of me, I plunged my sword straight into her chest.
Taki!
Seda grabbed onto my D-sword. And almost that exact same second, her hands evaporated. Oh, dang.
I'm burning up. I'm burning up real bad.
I lost all words. Dread began to climb up from the depths of my body. Chills ran down my back. My entire body stiffened. This wasn't Seda. Seda would never have turned against me.
You big dum-dum Taki!
Oh! Gah! I heard the sound of several of my ribs being pulverized. I even felt the bones in my right arm creak, letting out a dull sound as they did. Yo, what the frick? The blow resounded within my body. And then, the sheer impact sent me flying. Oh! I smashed into a wall. My head collided directly with it. My vision warped and wavered.
Try crossing your arms.
She rapidly swung her metal bat down on top of me. I was getting bludgeoned. Oh no! My left arm was minced from the elbow down. Even the concrete in the wall was dented from the blow. Dude, is he gonna learn how to heal? Because he's getting really wrecked right now. How's he gonna be able to stop him if he's like this hurt? Dang. Ah! My arm! My arm!
Oh, Taki, you know I won't let you get away.
Another metal bat swung straight into my leg. All strength left my right hand. The slightest movement caused a severe pain to scream out in my brain. But I ignored it and swung my D-sword. Some of the other girls have to come and help, right? Like, Ayase, you someone, you know? Senna? Hello? Can you help me? I cleanly severed the oncoming metal bat, but the pain from doing so forced a groan from my mouth. I came within arm's reach of the Seda in front of me, impaled her torso with my D-sword, and tore my way through her. Ooh! Her blood spattered my hands. Despite being just an anime character, her blood was incredibly warm. My mind went numb. Pain was all that ruled me now. I wanted to lock it all away, but I couldn't. As long as this pain endured, I would never be able to. Copious amounts of clotted blood gushed out of my flattened left hand. And it wasn't easy trying to hold on to the D-sword in my right either. The pain seemed to reverberate from my very bones. Pain so bad, I felt like I was about to pass out. But remember, he didn't need a D-sword to make a delusion in the past, right? That's why Senna got mad at us and shoved us up against a wall. So that means that we're different, we're more powerful. So we have to be able to heal ourselves, right? That's gotta be able to happen. I realized my entire body was soaked with sweat. The droplets stung at my eyes. My vision was hazy. More and more Setas approached from in front of me. The sound of their cheerful laughter reverberated deep within my ears, making my very eardrums vibrate. With my injuries, I doubted I'd live for more than a few hours. That thought had suddenly come to me, but it didn't really matter. I was just a delusion anyway. A being that would blink out of existence just as quickly as it blinked in. In the grand scheme of things, my injuries didn't really matter. Yo! I just needed to save Demi. I just needed to destroy Noah too. If this body could grant that, then I'd gladly give it all away. So, clear the way!
Let's stay together forever.
Her metal bat came down on me again. I figured I'd be able to avoid it, but the fatigue and pain slowed my reaction considerably. Oh! I was struck right in the temple. I could feel its enormous spikes tearing into my skull. The world shook. My vision went black. Things became even darker than they already had been, and I could no longer see anything at all. Yo, that was freaking crazy! Just everything stopped! Even the music, yo! That was a really effective cut, what the heck? I tumbled over, and as I tumbled, my mind went to my right hand. It was exploding with pain, but I was able to reaffirm that my D-sword was still there. I swung out my flattened left hand in an attempt to regain my footing. An exposed bone collided with the ground. An impact akin to an electric shock ran through my entire body, causing me to black out for a second. But I regained consciousness soon after. Oh! My vision came back. I started to raise back up. The soles of my feet caught hold of the ground. Using the centrifugal force I'd been blown away with, I charged into the horde of Setas and swung my right hand. Ooh! My bones creaked. Freshly spilled blood burst out from the Setas. The stench of blood refused to leave my nostrils. Was it my blood? Seda's blood? Who even knew? It all blended together. All I knew was that I was covered in blood, and that the coat of red staining me had made my vision go blurry. I kept on carving into them. Who even knew just how many I'd cut down at this point? When would it end? In my mind, it was as if she was multiplying infinitely. Seda clung to my right hand. I swung both her and my D-sword around. Dude, can't you just, make them go away? Just, delusion them out of existence, dude. Do it like how you did with Sua. You just traded places with him. But she wouldn't let go. Instead, she bent my arm backward. in a way it wasn't meant to go.
Gah!
My joint came out of its socket. All strength left my arm. My D-sword hit the ground. Nausea welled up in my stomach. I coughed and sputtered violently. The taste of blood spread throughout my mouth. I was pretty sure my shattered ribs were puncturing my internal organs. Any and every kind of pain was eating away at my body. I felt like I was going to go insane.
Again, he's feeling all this pain, right? The thing he was like super afraid of? Interesting.
But I was holding out hope. I couldn't help but hold out hope. I wanted to be set free, but I knew very well how impossible that was. So my hope was more wishful thinking than anything.
You really look sweaty. Want me to wipe you down?
With a big grin on her face, Sarah peered at my face, and I drove my foot into her jaw as hard as I could. I forcibly channeled more strength into my right arm. All sensation in it was going numb. It felt as if my nerves were burning to a crisp. My entire body was boiling. And now, the pain in my bones was rippling not just through my arm, but through my entire body. I was on the verge of shattering to pieces. Then I heard something that sounded like the growl of a beast. For a moment, I wondered whose voice it was, only to realize it was my own. The fingers on my right hand faintly shifted. I grabbed my D-sword and conjured a delusion. I pictured it being bound by a cord, and it instantly became real. The sword was secured to my hand with the cord. I needed to move, to get to where Demi was, beyond this darkness.
Taki, why don't you want to stay with me?
I sputtered out the blood that had gathered in my mouth. I was surrounded by heaps of Seta corpses lying on the ground. Other Setas kicked past them on their way to me, producing ripples in the puddles of blood. I slowly shook my head. Because... Seta... I gritted my teeth. You're just an anime character.
Oh!
The very next second, every single Seta morphed into 2D.
Yo! That's what I was saying. Just turn him into a delusion, dude. Yeah.
The ones who were standing became life-sized cardboard cutouts. The corpses lying on the ground became covers for body pillows. They had all returned home, back to the realm of 2D. Not a single one of them moved anymore. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. Don't worry. I'll see you again soon. In something of a moment of silence for the girls, I briefly hung my head over the wreckage. In the back of my mind, I was thinking that the gory, blood-stained Seta body pillow covers definitely wouldn't sell well. I was on the brink of passing out, but I managed to stave it off by biting my lip hard. And then, I started walking through the dark tunnel once again. I ended up at a dilapidated building near Shibuya Station's east entrance. The surrounding scenery was dotted with partly or entirely collapsed buildings, leaving the building here as the sole intact survivor. On it was the dome of a rooftop planetarium that had closed down some years back.
Dude, there's no way that's not a planetarian reference, right? Like, it can't be. It can't not be.
I don't think they made that game, though. Mages didn't make this game, and I don't think this came from what's it called? Key Arts or something like that, or just Key Visual Arts, I think is the publisher. Key is the, or Key, one of them's the developer and the other one's the publisher. I can't remember which. But like, it's gotta be, right? Oh, he made it! That was fast. Wheezing my lungs out, I descended the deserted stairway to the top floor. I'd made my way through the unattended lobby into the planetarium before I took a breather at the gargantuan device that had jumped into my sight. It was Noah 2 in all its majesty, surrounded by a chilly air, robbing me of my warmth. A piece of art stood beside Noah 2. Limi, affixed to the piece of art, slowly raised her head at my voice.
Oh no.
Our eyes met. Her eyes shot open. Why? I'm here to save you. Her eyes began to swim.
Idiot! You idiot! You're such an idiot!
She shook her head sadly.
Getting yourself hurt so badly. Pushing yourself so hard. Even though I told you to wait for me. Why?
Because I've fallen in love with you. I'm in love with you, Limi. But I couldn't say that out loud. I couldn't say anything heroic like, I'm here to save you because I'm in love with you. Not with how I was. Not with me covered in blood and a completely flattened arm. My current state was as far from Prince Charming as humanly possible. If I said something like that now, I'd probably look creepy as heck. That'd put me closer to a stalker than anything, really. If I spilled my guts to her in some speech that didn't let her get a word in, it would have just put her way off. She was going to live, and I was going to die. Having some dead man walking convey all his feelings on a whim would have left a horrible taste in her mouth. So, I bottled it all in. I want to give this back, Limi. My right hand was still weak. It was the hand I'd been using to hold my D-sword. Desperately forcing my fingers to move, I reached inside my jacket pocket and pulled out a handkerchief.
Oh.
It was colored a gentle vermilion. Whether that was its original hue, or due to my blood staining it, I didn't know. Limi had given it to me, though its floral aroma had long since expired. That handkerchief was one of several precious memories she'd given me. I'm gonna get you out of here. I'm gonna destroy Noah 2. And I'm gonna give you back your handkerchief. That was all I was capable of doing. And if I managed to achieve it all, I could die with no regrets. Besides, there wasn't much else I could do. Besides, there wasn't much else I could do. In my mind, every sense of mine had gone numb a long time ago. I imagined that the reason for that was because the pain was so severe, my brain had no choice but to start blocking the sensations transmitted by whatever nerves were responsible. I could barely move. My arm continued to bleed. My vision was blurry. I was incredibly cold. I had a feeling that, if I wasn't careful, I'd lose consciousness right then and there.
Taku. Taku!
Oh no! My, you are quite the gallant one. A towering man emerged from behind Noah 2, Norose Genichi. Facing me, he clapped sarcastically with no clear expression on his face. There is, however, one fatal flaw present in your character. What calls you to action is rooted in bare emotion, something I would attribute far more to barbarism rather than anything noble. I had no idea what he was getting at. It took everything I had just to bear with the pain. So aside from Mimi, I didn't have any brain power left to try and comprehend what anyone was saying.
Taku! Run away!
Sacrificing the needs of the few for the needs of the many. Would you think that to be evil? I certainly would not myself. With the world on its current course, mankind will undoubtedly meet its end. By way of their own desires. Their hearts are beyond repugnant. The world is inundated by the unfathomable count of excessively self-serving desires. The society of man has long since collapsed, left now to wallow in its own decay. Each person thinks only of themselves. Crimes such as theft or murder rob all form of agency. Yet this is of no concern to the individual. If you, too, awakened as a gigalomaniac, then you must have seen it. The true nature of the hearts of men. I have seen it for decades, having awakened myself at a very young age. In the eyes of the Committee of 300, the continued progression of the worldwide human domestication project is all for the heroic aim of halting mankind's self-destruction. Yet even that pretext exists simply to stroke their own egos. What I seek is something else. I once came to a realization. To breathe life into this diseased world, it is not the system governing society that requires changing. It is the hearts of all mankind. Also, he's trying to screw with their free will so that he can make them be good. Yo, but that... If you take away people's free will, then life is completely meaningless, though. I don't think he realizes that. He doesn't, realize how absolutely purposeless and meaningless life becomes when you just, have no agency. If you force people to be peaceful and to, not screw up, then that joy and peace isn't really real. It's, fictional. It doesn't really matter because there's no bad choice to contrast it with, It's like if only good existed and there was no evil, then good isn't really good anymore because there's nothing to contrast it with. You know what I'm saying? If it's the only thing that exists and the only thing that can exist, then it's completely meaningless. Good doesn't have any virtue. It's just nothing. You know what I mean? That's the whole reason God gave us a free will, that he gave us the ability to choose right and wrong. Because without that, you all of life is meaningless entirely. Love is meaningless. If you're forced to love somebody, it doesn't mean anything, right? That's like the whole point of having free will, so is that you don't have to love, because then when you choose to love, it matters, and there's a certain impact that comes with that decision. You know what I mean? Oh man, I wonder if they're gonna touch on that at all or not, because that's gonna be really cool and interesting if they do. Thus, Project Noah came to be. Through Noah 2, the hearts of all men throughout the world will be bleached clean as their negative delusions are effaced. Conflict will be no more. The world will see eternal peace. Even someone such as yourself will no longer face disdain. Finally, his novel-length monologue came to a close. My body was on the verge of collapse, but I desperately planted my feet. At least I'd gotten a bit of a break. That was the only reason I was still standing. What you're saying is probably right. I hadn't really been paying much attention, but in regards to the future of humanity, he was definitely right. His ideals were entirely righteous. He was the president of a sprawling corporation, and his eye was aimed solely on justice for the whole of mankind. Dude, yeah. See, I love that when they have, like, villains that are, like, you can actually understand the mindset of, you know? Like, it's actually reasonable what he's saying, you know? He has a horrible means of going about it, but, like, he's totally, like, trying to do what he believes is the correct thing to do, right? It's so interesting. It makes it so much easier to, like, sympathize with him. Even though you know he's the bad guy, it's like, oh man, but he's also kind of right, you know what I mean? But, you know, like what I was saying is, it's like he's not technically right, because if you take that away, if you force people to not have conflict and to just make them be good, then their entire existence is meaningless. Everything's purposeless without choices, without the ability to have right and wrong. There's no meaning to anything. So now you have peace and goodness for the sake of it, but those two things don't have any, like, meaning. They have no effect on the person that's experiencing them, because they have nothing to contrast it to. You know what I mean? So, like, it's a good idea, but it won't work in the end. So, again, I'm hoping they touch on that. That'll be interesting. Me, meanwhile, I was a monster. A virgin. An otaku freak. A selfish, ego-driven wannabe who just wanted to save some girl he liked and didn't give a crap about anyone else. Normally, that'd make me the bad guy through and through. The monster would then be slain, and justice would prevail. That is interesting, isn't it? They made the hero be the guy who typically has the villain's mindset. He's just, like, stuck on his own selfish purpose, right? And then Nodose is, like, the villain, but he's got a heroic mindset where it's like, I'm trying to save all of humanity, right? That's kind of interesting. I like that. Wow. But I'm not gonna lose to you. Why do you deny what is strictly in front of you? Just for my own self-satisfaction. My, how unfortunate that is. His gaze locked onto me. Nodose grabbed Themi by the collar and threw her off of the art piece. Oh, frick! His right hand then stretched out in front of it. Oh, frick! He's got his own sword! Oh, no! What the frick is that? Dude! That's like a mega-sized Keyblade, bro! What the frick? Look at that! Look at his pose! Look at that face! Ew! Dude, that's like the most anime-looking thing I've ever seen! Ew! And in that ephemeral moment, The once standing art piece found itself in Nodose's hand. It was no mere art piece, nor was it a cross that existed for crucifixion.
Oh, that's the thing he had her held on! What? His D-sword was the crucifixion thingy? What the heck? Whoa, dude, that looks like a freaking heartless keyblade, dude. It looks like freaking, like Riku's freaking keyblade, kinda.
It was a D-sword. It was far too monstrous to be called a sword. Savagery. Gelidity. That which sowed terror. A contaminated gospel. Chaos thoroughly complexified. A blasphemy with which to desecrate. The purest of evils. Akin to the very gates of hell themselves, the hearts of those who gazed upon it would be wrenched away, luring them into an eternal aeon of strife. All that was negative in this world converged into one, embodying its very shape. I gulped back all the saliva that had built up in my throat. Despite everything, I made up my mind. I fixed my grip on my D-sword, which was still bound to my hand with the cord, and then I took a single step toward Noah 2. Or, more accurately speaking, I began to close the distance between Nodose and myself. Speaking of distance, he had an overwhelming advantage in range over me. I don't find myself proficient in barbarous activities, especially when it comes to crossing swords. Nevertheless, I must obtain your code sample, and for me to meet that end, you must be incapacitated. Towering over me, with one hand, Nodose swung a D-sword even bigger than he was. Oh! His strike was so heavy, it felt as if it could have pulverized any known object out there. My arm was slow to respond. Even moving it slightly made pain explode throughout it. Even still, I forced it to do so, and raised my arm. I caught the blow with my D-sword. Any normal sword would have been split right in two. And that wasn't even accounting for how unbelievably thin my sword was. It couldn't have been more different from Nodose's. And yet, my D-sword didn't break. Somehow, I managed to parry Nodose's first strike. My hand went numb. With my left hand pulverized, my balance on that side was non-existent. The stance I'd been holding collapsed. By the looks of it, he was about to send me flying. I just had to endure it. I connected with Nodose's second blow. His recovery between strikes was way too fast. Don't be misled by how his sword looks. That was what I told myself. Dang! It was a battle of strength, between a sword that was far too thin and delicate, and a sword that was far too colossal and ferocious. Somehow, I was holding out with it. At least, for the moment.
Huh? Oh! Wait, what happened to his face when he did that? Wait a minute. Why was he upset?
4 times now. 4 times had our blades crossed. But this time, the position of Nodose's hands began to change. It looked like he was clutching the guard of his sword now. And then, his sword began to writhe. Letting out an eerie noise, its malleable mechanisms groaned. The blade's edge then split in 2, opening into a pair of scissors. That was then thrust toward my very chest.
Yo, what the frick?
That alteration. Right then, I came to realize it would mean the end of me. I countered, swinging my sword down in front of me. But I was too late. Oh! No! Its forked point sank straight into my chest. A callous smile formed on Nodose's lips. He loosened his grasp on the guard, and the colossal scissors snapped shut. Oh! My chest, my ribs, my lungs were all devoured. I desperately stumbled back. And right when I did that, Nodose swept his arm straight across. Oh! My own fresh blood danced before my eyes. Pain spiked throughout my entire body. Even though my senses were supposed to have been numbed, I was on the verge of screaming out with whatever remained of my lungs. But even so, I clenched my teeth and endured it. My chest had been thoroughly minced. If not for stepping back when I did, he would have hit my heart. Massive quantities of blood continued to spray out. I nearly toppled over, but I caught myself at the last second. I can't die here. I didn't come this far just to die. I ignored Nodose. Instead of him, I approached Noah 2 and Demi, the latter of which was collapsed on the ground. It took every fiber of my being, but I did it all the same.
Taku!
Raising her head from the ground, Demi looked in my direction. She was likely exhausted. There was no way her body had any strength left. As fatigue, or maybe just my injuries, continued to wear me down, my vision grew blurrier. I wasn't sure what sort of face Demi was making as she looked at me. I didn't meet her gaze. I couldn't bear for her to see me like this, bloody and beaten to a pulp. That was the sole, minuscule bit of pride I had left. Even on my deathbed, that was where I drew the line. I advanced toward Noah 2. My D-sword was already within range. Oddly enough, Nodose stayed behind me, ignoring that I was leaving him behind.
Wait, what? That's the sound! Wait! Oh my gosh! It's been Noah 2 doing that this whole time! Whoa, wait, but it was sending it to phones, right? No, wait, so what is happening?
All of a sudden, a cheery melody began to ring throughout the dome. You may pass. Noah 2 towered over me. The sound emanating from it became even more shrill. Deep within all its majesty, I sensed something incredibly strange and enigmatic moving around. For a split second, I flinched. Albeit slowly, I managed to take a stance with the blade at my hip. I aimed toward Noah 2's nearly organic-looking, tube-covered exterior, and bulldozed it with my D-sword. That was when I noticed, at some point or another, Noah 2 had vanished from my sight, and now, somehow, I was standing with my back to it. I knew for a fact that I'd just been trying to destroy it. There wasn't a single darn reason for me to have turned around. And yet, that was the direction I was facing. In the very center of my blurred vision, Nodose was the one standing there, not Noah 2. Oh, he keeps turning him around. I turned myself around, swinging my D-sword at it for a second time. Except, even though I'd fully intended to turn around, I hadn't. I had the will to turn myself around, and I'd even made the motion to do so. And yet, the end result was one where I hadn't actually turned around. I was hit with a wave of utter confusion. One might call it Noah 2's self-defense system.
Oh, what? The machine does that. That's not him doing it. The machine knows how to do that? No way.
Norosei's quiet voice resounded from within the dome, pooling and mixing together with the melody of You May Pass. It interferes with the hearts of those who approach it, distorting their wills. With the exception of myself, none may approach Noah 2. When he finished speaking, he leisurely walked closer to me. Then, as if it was the easiest thing in the world, he raised the colossal D-sword above his head. I clenched my teeth. I'd lost a lot of blood. I couldn't think clearly. Even though I didn't have the slightest bit of sensation in my right hand, I shoved the pain and the fact that I couldn't move it properly aside, and lifted it up in a desperate attempt to deflect the next blow. Ugh! And then, the D-sword that had somehow still remained attached to my hand with the cord was sent flying by a staggering impact. Oh no. Wait, what the frick? What's that? That's the ambulance sound! It tumbled across the floor, far, far away from me. It was astonishing seeing it off. Fixing my gaze back in front of me, I was met with Norosei's sneering figure. And then, as if in warning, as if to urge my mind forward, the melody changed. Allow me to deny your existence. Norosei's stance told me he was already prepared to strike again. He was about to bring that sword crashing down on me. It was all too overwhelming, all too devastating, all too brutal. That was his D-sword. And it was coming down on me while I was completely unarmed. I had no way of stopping his strike. I was a sitting duck.
No!
Demi forced her way between Norosei and me. Her soft touch enveloped my face.
No!
Don't kill Taku!
I felt Demi's chest. She had wrapped her arms around me, almost like a tender embrace. She was protecting me from Norosei. Norosei sighed quietly, lowering his sword. Demi had saved me once again, even though I told her I was here to save her. How freaking pathetic was that? Hit with a wave of intense frustration, I slithered my right hand onto her body and thrusted it inside her blouse.
Taku?
Yo, what the frick? What is he doing? Yo, why are you... He's being gross. What the frick? What the frick? Is he trying to make her leave? He's trying to get her to be repulsed by him, isn't he? Oh, no.
I felt the sensation of the coarse, warm underwear line atop her skin. Then, I felt the pain of the gashes in my chest. Then the pain of my amputated left hand.
His hand is amputated? When did that happen? I don't remember hearing that. What the frick?
Then the pain of my dislocated right arm. Then the pain of my dysfunctional legs as I struggled to breathe. But the warmth I felt now, surely it could heal all of it. Demi's underwear. Demi's bare skin.
What are you...
I tore off the buttons on her blouse, I ripped away the clothing that was keeping her body hidden away from me. Ew, dude! What the frick? What the— no! Whoa, whoa, what the frick? Oh, no! Whoa, 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 whoa! I exposed her bra.
Taku, stop!
I grabbed her tightly, right through her bra, reaching her ample breasts. Bro, is this a delusion or is he really doing this? What the frick?
Ow!
With my blood-smeared right hand, I squeezed her. I rubbed her body with my blood, her bra, her bare skin. I felt its elasticity, such soft, tender skin. What the frick? What the frick?
No!
Demi writhed around in an attempt to escape. I grabbed her tightly and didn't let go. See, the fact that he can do this isn't possible. He's screwed up right now. This has to be a delusion, right? Right? I plunged my face into her breasts. Her skin was so velvety, so comfortable. It was as if it was drawing me in. Then, with my free right hand, I began to grope beneath her skirt. Bro, what the frick? No wonder this wasn't allowed over here for so long.
Stop! Stop it! Taku! This isn't what I want!
With a gasp, I got off of her. When I realized what I'd been trying to do, I was genuinely shocked. What the frick happened? What was that? Even though I'd gotten off of her, Demi tightly clutched her chest and continued to sob sadly. But she'd been protecting me. Why had I done that? Why the heck had I done that? Especially at a time like this. Why was I the one making Demi cry? Truth is, you want to rape Sakihara Demi, don't you? My own voice echoed within my mind. Shocked, I swallowed back my saliva. What the frick, bro? What is happening? What the frick? What was so shocking to me? The fact that he was right? Because he'd seen through me? But who was he to begin with? It was my own voice. My inner voice. My true nature? Yo, what the frick? What? Oh my gosh. Pass up on making her yours here, and Shogun's gonna cuck you. You really want that wrinkly little crap to screw her silly? You don't want to be a cuck, do you? What the frick? Then again, there's nothing saying he hasn't screwed her already. My true nature continued whispering to me. Stop it! Stop saying this crap! I don't believe a single word you're saying! I couldn't cover my ears even if I wanted to, considering my lack of a left hand. Demi was just lying there sobbing, unable to fix her messy clothes. Just seeing her face like that shattered my heart. And don't give me of that hollow, it's okay if she doesn't love me back bullcrap. Go on. Rape her already. Dude, what the frick is this? What is happening? Is this Noah too? Or is it us? I have a feeling it's actually us, but why? What do you mean? What is happening? Oh my gosh. Norose doesn't seem to take issue with sparing the time to let you at her.
Wait, so does that mean that he's allowing, like he's making it happen? I don't know.
Besides, I'm about to die anyway. Who really gives a rat's back if she holds a grudge? I say die doing what I want for a change. Just indulge in some of the forbidden fruit. Then, when they understand how freaking pathetic my circumstances are, they'll go, oh well, it only makes sense, and let me off the hook. It was just a delusion. Something that was a bad habit of mine. Things could take a turn for the worse if I didn't stop listening. The current would drag me away. My weak-minded nature was luring me to the path of least resistance, toward a really bad path. But I couldn't let it drag me away. Not now.
Dude, the path of least resistance, that's something else that I've always said too. That, like, human beings naturally want to, like, almost always want to take the path of least resistance by nature. It takes, like, the God element that's within humanity to be able to not take the path of least resistance, right? Like, that's how we invent things, that's how we have virtue, that's how we are able to persevere in anything. You know, to not take the path of least resistance is to not act like a human, to not be human. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the thing, right? So, like, when you do virtuous and righteous things, you're actually being more godlike, more Christ-like. You know what I'm saying? You're actually being the thing that you were supposed to be, being made in the image of God, right? You were supposed to be virtuous and righteous. But if you take the path of least resistance and you do evil and repulsive things, then you're actually being more human. So it's like to actually, to be like God, to be Christ-like, is to be everything that a human is not. That's like kind of been like a motto I've had run in my head, you know? It's so crazy that it's coming out in this though, like, whoever wrote this, it's like they got that element of humanity. Man, that's so cool to me that they understand that, but this is screwed. I had to talk about that so I could take a mental break, cause what the heck, man? Like, actually, though. Oh my gosh. What's more, Beanie actually sympathized with me. If that's not a green light to screw her brains out, what the heck is? Rape her. Toss aside your V card before you die. Yo! No way!
I screamed, to shatter my weak mind, to blow it straight to heck. Luckily, it seemed to have worked. Beanie had even stopped crying. She lowered the hands covering her face, and then she glared at me with ice-cold eyes.
What? Wait! Oh!
You're such a bore.
Those few words were all it took for my mind to be swallowed by a cascade of dark emotions.
Ah!
And as I swung myself at Beanie,
Oh!
with staggering force, an enormous stake burst straight up from the concrete floor. The sharp edge of the stake pierced straight into my crotch. I couldn't comprehend what was going on. My legs were floating in the air. Even if I wanted to run away, I couldn't. The stake gradually tore its way farther and farther into my body. It was excruciatingly painful, but not enough to kill me. What the frick is happening? The stake continued to grow, lifting me a whole meter into the air. Any form of movement sent a jolt of pain through my groin. I was completely unable to move. Someone Save me. I cast my pleading eyes down toward Demi. But, without even looking at me, she walked straight to Norose's side. Then, as if exhausted of all strength, she crouched to the ground. Both Norose and Demi simply stared at me, at the mortifying display. Neither of them had any form of expression as they watched. Neither of them had any interest in saving me. I am curious as to if you were aware of this. Impalement was once a common form of torturous punishment all throughout the world. A particular characteristic of this torture is that death can take up to 3 days to arrive once it begins. Your own weight will gradually allow the stake to sink deeper into your body. To meet this end, it is essential to make use of a stake that isn't overly sharp, thereby reducing injury to your internal organs and lengthening the period until your death. Ultimately, the execution is brought to an end once the stake pierces through your mouth or shoulder. I will be supervising this with bated breath for all 3 days, until the moment you perish. It seems she feels the same. Demi nodded in response to his words. What the frick? Although, it would seem far more likely for you to die of blood loss given the wounds adorning your arms and chest. It's a delusion. It's a delusional attack. That was what I told myself. In reality, I wasn't really impaled. I was still just standing in front of Noah 2. I was only hallucinating. I believed that to be true. I had to believe it. 3 days, 72 hours, 4,320 minutes, 259,200 seconds. If I can endure it for that long, the delusion will end. It has to. If I just sleep for a bit, or pass out, it'll go by a lot quicker. Those were my thoughts. But I couldn't do either of those things. The pain wouldn't let me. And that was exactly what made this such pure, unrelenting torture. I was gonna go insane if this went on. Even though only a moment ago, I'd been thinking about trying to endure it. I'd spiraled straight into despair. Considering the extreme amount of time left before my death, despair was the sole emotion that hadn't drained directly out of me. Just kill me already.